Almost every other day, we now hear of various scams, of various activities which pertain to corruption of different scales, of different sizes, and we are in a situation where the government or the authorities have started prioritizing, saying that this is a big, scam or a small scam. Indeed, we are living in turbulent times, and here we are in for a session with a lot of eminent personalities, a very well-known face who is amongst us today. I will quickly introduce the session chair, Mr. Avijit Mehta. Avijit is an entrepreneur at heart. He's worked as a currency trader in his own firm, and prior to that, he was running his own tech company. After 2008 attacks in Mumbai, he got actively involved in politics. He ran the entire back office for Meera Sanyal in 2009 elections. Apart from that, he has been supporting various candidates as political analyst. Currently, he's the director in a well-known think tank. I welcome Avijit. We have amongst us Arvind Kejriwal. And I believe there is no introduction required for Arvind Kejriwal. He is the recipient of the prestigious Magsaysay Award, and most importantly, he is a KGPN. We also have amongst us Nisha Singh, Councillor, Municipal Corporation of Gurgaon. She is an engineer and an MBA from London Business School. She's worked in various corporate sector companies like Barclays, Google, Siemens, and now she believes that the time has come to act and take charge, and she's moved into active politics. She's on her way, and she'll be joining us very soon. We also have amongst us Mr. Mustan Tambawala, who's had a great corporate career, starting with marketing in L&T and then going on to take various senior positions across various firms, across various countries. He's been the member executive council of PANIIT 2012-14. He's been the Secretary General of PANIIT Global 2007. He's a member of the Capital Goods Committee CII. We also have amongst us Mr. Somnath Bharti, who is an advocate in Supreme Court. He's also the president of the IIT Delhi Alumni Association and closely associated with Mr. Kejriwal. I leave the dais to Avijit for this very stimulating discussion. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I can't see you, so I need to hear you. Thank you so much. Okay, so I need to see my people. I sitting on the throne, I couldn't see that. So if just excuse me, I'm just going from there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a few hours back you heard from the chief ministers of a few states and what the established parties did. And as I was walking in, I heard a few comments, and they were very nice, very cordial, and I'm full of good intentions. But as one wise person once told me, that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And the people sitting here on the dais, they have a different idea. They say that we can do better than that. So let's see what we can, whether that's true or not. Is that all right? Okay? I know you guys have had lunch, but I need to hear something, otherwise I don't know you're sleeping, because I can't see you. Okay, thank you. All right, gentlemen. You all have come from illustrious backgrounds, IITs, what am I talking about? What inspired you to join politics? At what point in time did you decide, okay, politics is for me? Can we start with you, Mr. Kejriwal?
Hello. A very good afternoon to everyone. I'll speak both in Hindi and English. Is that okay? Okay, great. So we can start with... And also Bangla, okay. Act 2, আমি একটু বাংলা বলতে পারি। अभी जैसे ही मैं हॉल में एंटर किया तो ऑर्गेनाइजर्स ने मुझे कहा कि ये टोपी उतार दो। मैंने कहा मैं तो यहाँ पे सबको टोपी पहनाने के लिए आया हूँ, मैं अपनी टोपी कैसे उतार दूँ? ये जो टोपी है ना, मैं हूँ आम आदमी, ये मेरे को याद दिलाती है इस देश के अंदर, in this country now we have only, this country is meant only for VIPs, it is not meant for ordinary people. And we have to change this culture. We have to change this kind of politics that is there in our country. If you go to Delhi, you have separate housing for VIPs, you have separate gadis for VIPs, red lights for VIPs, you have separate, everything is separate for VIPs. We have to change this. There should be now only one VIP in this country, and that is Aam Aadmi. And I'm very happy wherever I'm going because of this. When we launched this political party, since that day, wherever we are going, we have only one nara. Congress says Rahul Gandhi Jindabad, BJP says Advani Jindabad. In our party we say Aam Aadmi Jindabad. Aam Aadmi ko Jindabad karna hai, and this is giving a huge empowerment to the ordinary people. So your question, that when did we decide to join politics? Actually, politics was thrust upon us, and you know that. In the last 2 years, there was a huge anti-corruption movement across the country under the leadership of Anna Hazare ji. In the last 1.5 to 2 years, what were we asking for? We were asking for one law, Jan Lokpal Bill. And what does this law say? This law only says that if someone indulges in corruption in this country, today there is absolutely no possibility of that person being punished. So we wanted a law which says that if anyone indulges in corruption, he should go to jail, his property should be confiscated, and he should be dismissed from the job. क्या गलत मांग रहे थे हम लोग? ठीक मांग रहे थे. But in the last 1.5 years, we tried almost everything. We pleaded before them, we wrote letters to them, we met all the political parties, we met all the political leaders. 3 बार अनशन किए. 3 बार अन्ना ने अनशन किए, 1 बार मैंने अनशन किया 10 दिन का. पर ये लोग नहीं माने. So we were left with no option but to enter politics, because slowly we started realizing that till such time you clean up the politics of this country, there will be no Lokpal Bill, and the country will never get rid of corruption till you clean up the politics. So we have entered into this. This was a challenge before us. We have accepted this challenge, and on 2nd October, when we launched our party, when we announced our party, उस दिन हमने लोगों ने इनको बोला था कि आज 2 अक्टूबर को हम पार्टी अनाउंस कर रहे हैं, और आज से लेके 2014 तक तुम लोगों को चैन से जीने नहीं देंगे, चैन से सोने नहीं देंगे, और तब से लेके आज तक इनको चैन से सोने नहीं दिया हम लोगों ने. तुम्हारी राजनीति बदल के रखेंगे हम लोग. दिस इज व्हाट वी टोल्ड देम. अब जिस दिन हम लोग खुलासा करते हैं, द डे वी डू एनी काइंड ऑफ एन एक्सपोजे, उस दिन सबके फोन आने लगते हैं. बीजेपी वाले सोचते हैं उनका कुछ खुलासा हो रहा है, कांग्रेस वाले सोचते हैं उनका कुछ खुलासा हो रहा है. एक मंत्री बार बार कहता है, यार मैंने तो अरविंद को कुछ कहा ही नहीं था, वो मेरे पीछे क्यों पड़ा हुआ है. So सबने चोरी कर रखी है. सबको लगता है कहीं उसका ना कुछ हो जाए, कहीं उसका कुछ ना हो जाए. So that is why we are in politics.
Thank you, Mr. Kejriwal. Mr. Tambawala.
The question is, what inspired me to get into politics? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Well, in 2006, I retired from my successful corporate career and decided to join social work. But post 26/11/2008, what happened in Mumbai angered lakhs of citizens of Mumbai, and that is when I decided to get into social activism, to demand from the politicians and the government performance. And that journey took me on to 2009, where many good, ordinary but very clean, competent citizens like any one of us stood for election in MLA and MP, like Captain Gopinath, Meera Sanyal, Dr. Mona Shah, Hansal D'Souza. They all lost elections. They even confiscated their deposits. So that set me thinking that we must find what is the way to succeed. So I organized a workshop in Mumbai, invited almost all groups which were involved in political or social activism, and the workshop ended with determining that whereas the normal factor of money, muscle power, and divisive vote banks having its way, there is one factor which we can perhaps play, and it is in our hand, that all citizens like us, all groups who are in social activism and political activism, they get together. United if we stand, we have a chance to succeed. So that was the conclusion of these 28 groups. And then we ran a platform. I was convener of that platform for 1.5 years to essentially form an organization or a party to really contest Mumbai municipal election. Then came, very close to that election, Mr. Anna Hazare's and Mr. Kejriwal's movement. I was that time in the United States. I came back, and the core committee told me that because of what they have said, there is so much of anger against politicians and politics that if we form a political party, we will be rejected like any other. Now, this was the decision of the core committee. Majority felt like that. I tried my best to convince them that no, with clean politics, we will have a chance. But they said it's not possible because there is so much of bitterness and anger right now. So because of that, ultimately, I decided to leave that platform and joined what was available as the most clean, competent, credible political alternative in Lok Satta. And since then, I have been working with Lok Satta. That's what has been my journey for political activism.
Mr. ParTI.
Good evening, everybody. First, I pay my deep reverence to this land of Tagore and Vivekananda and Ramakrishna, and name such intellectual giants have been from this land. And I'm very, very thankful to the people of Calcutta for this warm hospitality. I must thank you, all of them. I've been witnessing deep love and deep concern, each and every individual whosoever comes to know of, if at all we have been inconvenient in this land from the time we landed. They have all been willing to extend help. Now to the question. You know, when I became lawyer, from IIT background, I became a lawyer. I have been witnessing what sort of laws have been enacted by the parliament. The recent of all, the 66A, which you all have been come to know of. Would you know this law, this IT Act, is one of the 17 enactments which were passed in 15 minutes in the parliament without any discussion. Such is the intellectual wisdom which our parliamentarians possess today. Then we should, must stand to this demand of good governance, and then we must take up this lead role of getting into the politics and standing in the election and getting in the parliament. I don't see any other way but this. Would you know, this 66A, which is standing before us, all of us, and Supreme Court has taken cognizance of, any of us today, just by sending an SMS or just by sending an email to anybody which would cause annoyance and inconvenience, can land us in jail? Such is the law. What do we do? They have so much of power in their hand by sitting in the parliament. They can do anything to us. And that is why precisely the reason is that we, you and I, Arvind, Mr. Tamawala, we all got to get together and give these politicians run for their life. And we must take up this role, and we have to take up this role.
Thank you.
That's the reason I'm there. Thank you.
It's truly inspiring to hear that. However, I'm a little cynical here, and I'll tell you why. Because when I talk to a lot of people, politics is still a bad name. Okay? If I can just take a straw poll, if you guys can help me out, if your kids came and said that I want to be a politician, how many of you would actively support your child? Yes. But the point is that, politics is still a very bad name. What would you tell these people who still think that politics is bad. Mr. Tambawala, if we can start with you to say this time.
Well, politics is a bad word because I think post-Nehruian era, the nature of politics has changed. Money, muscle power, divisive politics, sach ka jhoot, jhoot ka sach, promises made, never fulfilled, all these things and corruption have actually conditioned our minds in a manner that anybody who gets into politics has to be a person without principles, a bad person, a corrupted person, and therefore, he's right. Politics is considered as a bad word, and if you join a political party, I must tell you that in Mumbai, a lot of our friends and our comrades and fellow travelers all have said, oh my God, you joined political party? You know, that expression is there. So, it's sad. Actually, politics has been a noble pursuit. What can be better than be in the service of the nation? So we have to start thinking and getting into politics to make it once again what it should have been and what it was. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kejriwal.
The day we announced that we are entering into politics, Digvijay Singh said, देखा, हमने तो कहा ही था. इनको तो शुरू से ही सत्ता का लालच था. ये तो सत्ता के लालची हैं, सत्ता के लोभी हैं ये लोग. मैं ये सोच रहा था कि एक जमाना होता था at the time of a freedom movement when our country became independent. Jawaharlal Nehru also fought elections. Lal Bahadur Shastri also fought elections. Sardar Patel also fought elections. Baba Saheb Ambedkar also fought elections. Those were the times when you went into, if you entered politics, people used to say, बहुत बड़ा देशभक्त है, देश की सेवा करने के लिए जा रहा है. At that time, the politics used to be such a clean thing, such a noble thing. आज अगर कोई पॉलिटिक्स में जाता है तो कहते हैं सत्ता का लालची है, सत्ता का लोभी है. इसी को तो बदलना है. We have to change this. Politics actually is a very noble thing. What is politics? Politics is about society's service. Politics is about public service. देश की सेवा के लिए पॉलिटिक्स होती है. राजनीति देश की सेवा के लिए होती है. लेकिन आज इन लोगों ने इसको इतना गंदा बना दिया, इतना गंदा बना दिया है. What exists today is not politics. It is politics of corruption. It is politics of crime. It is politics of greed. It is politics of cheating. We have to change this into a politics of public services. We have to change this into a politics of people. जनता की राजनीति बनाना है इसको. इसीलिए हम लोग इस पॉलिटिक्स में आए हैं. आज एक अच्छा आदमी पॉलिटिक्स में सर्वाइव नहीं कर सकता है, इसलिए कोई जाना नहीं चाहता है. इट्स नॉट जस्ट कि कोई जाना चाहता नहीं है. बहुत सारे लोग जाना चाहते हैं, बट यू कांट. द रूल्स ऑफ द गेम आर सच that a good person cannot survive in politics. And if you have to succeed in politics, then you have to indulge in the same set of rules. We want to change the rules of the game. हम राजनीति को इतना साफ सुथरा बनाना चाहते हैं कि आज से 2 साल या 3 साल के बाद आप सब लोग भी अपने बच्चों को बोलो कि बड़े होके पॉलिटिक्स में जाना.
Thank you so much. Sir.
You know, this question that politics is a bad thing, time and again I have been asked that politics corrupts. And somewhere I read that politics corrupts absolutely. But my take on this is, let's take an example of a knife. Knife per se is not a bad thing. But use of the knife, it depends upon the user. Politics per se is not a bad thing. But it does help the bad person utilize his bad intentions. So the moment you get into politics, there are a lot of people. I have been very close to political corridors in Delhi, and I've been a witness that what sort of people get into politics for what purposes. But I feel when I see people like Arvind, when I see people like Anna, if these people get into politics, politics will get purified. People need to have the correct intentions. Intention is what is the pivotal thing in politics. If you have a Buddha get into politics, the world would be at peace. But if you have an Aurangzeb getting into politics, the world would be bloody. It is the person which matters, not the politics. The immunity power of the person who is getting into the politics, if he is someone like Arvind or Anna, I think politics will change its color, politics will change its nature, politics will start getting respect. That's my take on it.
Thank you. So next question, Mr. Kejriwal, I'll ask you directly. It's quite possible that, once you fight your elections, you may end up as an opposition rather than in the ruling party. Considering how low an opinion we have of the established political parties, how do we propose to work with them once we get elected?
I think it's not about working with the other parties. You are in the parliament as representatives of the people. आपको जनता के संघर्ष के साथ खड़ा होना है. I'll give you a very small example. दिल्ली के अंदर बिजली के रेट बढ़े, गलत बढ़े, बिल्कुल गलत बढ़े, because we have copies of orders to show that these rates actually should have been decreased rather than increased. Where is BJP? Nowhere to be seen.
Sure.
Completely absent. Where is opposition? There is no opposition in this country. दिल्ली के अंदर एक 4 साल की बच्ची के साथ रेप का अटेम्प्ट हुआ. All of us were there, all the activists were there. Where was BJP? It was nowhere to be seen. अभी कल मैं पूरा दिन वहाँ पे 1000 गरीब लोगों के घर तोड़ दिए गए. It seems Delhi governments privately they are saying it was done by mistake. How can you demolish someone's house by mistake? Where is Congress? Where is BJP? These parties are completely cut off from the people of this country. And that is what I am saying is politics. Politics is on the streets of this country. Politics is in everyone's house. Politics is not in parliament. संसद के अंदर पॉलिटिक्स नहीं होती है. पॉलिटिक्स देश की गलियों के अंदर होती है. पॉलिटिक्स देश के हर घर के अंदर होती है. इस पॉलिटिक्स की सो व्हेन यू स्टार्ट डूइंग इट, वेदर यू आर इन ऑपोजिशन और वेदर यू आर इन रूलिंग पार्टी, आपका धर्म यह है कि आप जनता की आवाज को संसद तक पहुंचाएंगे. आप अपोजिशन बन के पहुंचाएंगे कि आप रूलिंग पार्टी बन के पहुंचाएंगे, वो छोटी सी बात है. लेकिन आप जनता की आवाज को जिस दिन संसद के अंदर पहुंचाएंगे, उस दिन जनता का संसद पे विश्वास बढ़ेगा. आज जनता का संसद से विश्वास खत्म हो चुका है.
So, sir, if I can, press you a little on that. When you get into house, you are called a lawmaker. You are supposed to make laws. That's a different thing. We do everything else, but we do that. So, at some point, as a responsible opposition, you have to work with the established parties. There has to be some working relationship. So, how would that come up?
You don't have to carve out a working relationship with any party. If there is a law presented in parliament, if it is a good law, support the law. First, you take a copy of the law and have public discussions all across the country. See what is the opinion of the people. What do the people have to say on that? And then you take the people's opinion to the parliament. And whatever the opinion of the people is, you present that opinion. If it is a good law, join the ruling party. Join them in that particular debate. If it is a bad law, oppose that.
Thank you so much. Mr. Tambawala, do you agree with Mr. Kejriwal?
Partly I do, because I feel that, yes, if you are in opposition, essentially you can cooperate with the ruling party or the government on the basis of issues. If the issues that they are handling, be it law or anything else, if it is correct, if it is in the interest of the citizens of the country, it will do good for them, support it. Don't fight with them only because of politics. Support it. And if they are not doing their work, then keep raising the issues which need to be raised in the parliament or in an assembly, and work towards making them realize that they ought to do it. If they fail to realize that, at least people will realize that you are at it all the time, and then they will realize that maybe they need to give you a chance to do what you need to do. So that's the way I would handle.
So now we'll get a true legal perspective on this. As I said, elected representatives are actually lawmakers. So what does one who represents clean politics do? Does he become a lawmaker? Is he an activist? Is he everything and put in between? As a lawyer, how do you see your elected representative?
See, I'll go a little deeper than this.
Sure.
today's administrative and legal framework which is there in our country, it was brought in by the British. And British was there to rule over us. British has different intentions. They had not the intention of give us good governance. When the country got independence, our laws have not changed. They have not been revisited. They have not been reworked. The political parties and the political leaders who had the taste of, who had tasted the blood of being in power somehow that time. Unfortunately, the legal framework and existing administrative framework, if they do not get changed and revisited from the point of view of ruling over India to giving us good governance, things will not change. And that is why, in fact, I spent quite good time on this in understanding that how do we make substantial change, the change which will change. It is not by activism, in my understanding. Activism can do the patchwork. But at the end of the day, आप अगर नीम के पेड़ को पूजा करते रहें, तो अमरूद और आम तो उसे आएगा नहीं. अगर आप ये देखें आज की पॉलिटिक्स का करतूत, एफडीआई पर बीएसपी और एसपी जो देश को बोलते रही कि भाई हम तो इसके खिलाफ हैं, खिलाफ हैं, खिलाफ हैं, और सीबीआई का थोड़ा सा स्क्रू अप करने से उन्होंने इसके गवर्नमेंट का साथ दे दिया. ये कैसे बदलेंगे आप? हाउ विल यू चेंज दिस? आई डोंट थिंक you'll be able to change this by normal agitations and normal fasts. You have to get into the parliament. Unless you put in your attempts, your blood. Hats off to the guys. I mean, people like Arvind, though it's a long way to go. It's not easy. It's not at all easy. I understand. Absolutely. The path is uphill. And all of us, if this attempt made by the middle class in particularly, I say this movement has been a middle class. If this fails, I don't think when will this country get a chance. All of us, it's you and I, who have to take up this uphill task and change the entire structure. Patchwork will not do. You cannot expect people like Lalu Yadav and Mulayam Singh Yadav to, and particularly I'm naming people, I don't hesitate. They cannot give, they're not literate, they cannot do the good for the nation. It is you and I who are responsible for them, to get into the parliament. Unless we change that. Good people, you have to get into the parliament. And then only things will change. So legal perspective, my experience with the courts have been pathetic. Pathetic. I mean, sometime if I'm given a chance, judicial reforms, Arvind's party has made me the convener of Judicial Reforms Committee. And I'm finding it's an uphill task. I don't know what all we need to do to bring our Aam Janta, Aam people, you and I, a taste of justice. Very uphill task.
Thank you.
Mr. Mehta, I answered you that I agree with Arvind partly. I stated what I agreed with. Let me now state what I disagree with. I think it is impractical to say that we will go back to the people and the citizens when any issue point is debated in the parliament or laws are debated. Because it's not possible. You can't call those 5 lakhs people in your constituency and ask, what do you think of this law? So I think where I disagree and what will be practical and useful is to have a competent set of people in your think tank. Be it law, be it industry, be it economy, and this think tank with good amount of research and application of mind, keeping in the front that our objective is to do whatever is good for the people and their upliftment and development. Then, whatever is right, that is the stand you need to take in the parliament and go ahead. I think that will be easier, faster, and more practical.
Please, but we are running really short of time, so make it quick. I'm sorry about that.
You see, there is some misconception about what we've been saying, that we want more and more direct people's participation in the decision-making process of the government. Now, I won't go in details, but as far as the legislature is concerned, out of all the democracies which exist in the world, only 5 countries are there where you don't have referendum and initiative. There is a concept of referendum and initiative. It exists in all the democracies in the world barring 5 countries. India happens to be one of those 5 unfortunate countries. What is a referendum? What is an initiative? Referendum means that if the government passes a law and the people are not happy with the law, the people can actually directly tell the government through a referendum that make this amendment in this law or withdraw this law. Should it not be there in India? Should it be there or should it not be there in India? Suppose initiative is, suppose we want to propose a new law to the parliament. What option do we have today? We keep on lobbying with these parties. When people lobby with these parties, the parties don't listen. But when suppose Mukesh Ambani or Tata's or some industrial house lobbies with the parties, they listen to them. So it is the money that plays a role in the legislative process. Initiative says that if a particular set number of people want to get a law passed in the parliament, then in that case the parliament will have to listen to the people of this country.
So if I have understood you correctly, you are looking at something like what happens in California where you put issues on ballot.
It is one model. We can borrow from that model. There are several, we have put a team together which is studying the way, there are several models available across the globe on what kind of referendum and initiatives can take place. It is existing for the last almost 100 years.
Sure.
So we can borrow from their experiences and design a new model for our own country.
Understood.
This is what we are saying. It's practical, it's doable, it is being done.
Fair enough. All right. So, taking a cue from there, let's say you fight elections and you win and you become the government. Till now, the civil society or the people who promote clean politics have spoken about corruption, they've spoken about various other issues, but a sustainability of clean politics is not just these things. There are a lot more things that the government has to deal with, like foreign policy, defense, a million other things. So I just want to, I'll just take one issue. How would you, or if you were in power, how would you deal with the challenges of terrorism?
I completely concede that this party is born out of a movement. This movement was an anti-corruption movement, and there were some issues which the movement was espousing: anti-corruption, decentralization of political power, land acquisition, etc. There were 5: right to reject, right to recall, etc. Now the party has been born, and people are immediately asking us, what is your view on this? What is your view on this? What should be the relationship with Israel? What should be the relationship with Cuba, etc., etc. We have put, just like just now Somnath was saying, we put 30 teams together of various experts to go into the details of these issues. Like we have a judicial reforms committee on which Somnath is there and many others are there. These people are studying these issues now. We have a team on foreign affairs also. We have a team on terrorism also. We have a team on unemployment, industry, FDI. We have a team on agriculture, land acquisition. There are about 30 to 35 teams that we have put together. They're studying these issues. After studying these issues, they will prepare the first draft in the next 5 to 6 months. And after those drafts, then we will take these drafts to the people and have a larger consultation across the country, and then the party will finalize its position.
So, not that I want to press you a lot on this, but when can we expect something to see in Congress?
By March, you would have the first draft.
By March, we should have the first draft. Right. Before I go to you, sir, I'd like to welcome Nisha. She is late, not of her own accord. She was not informed, so we are sorry about that. We'll figure out why things went wrong, but we really apologize. We'll just get you in. We are in ongoing discussions. I just want to finish that. Mr. Tambawala, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, well, when it comes to this subject, I'm glad that what Arvind has said, which is what I stated earlier, that if you have the experts and various teams who develop views on what you should do and what you should not do, would be good. Now, as far as Lok Satta is concerned, You know, Lok Satta Party was an Andolan, and Dr. Jaiprakash Narayan, retired IAS officer, started this. And in 1996, Forum for Democratic Reform was made. That's a think tank of Lok Satta. And since then, from 1996, on various issues, what have you, national or international, all subjects have been researched. Nationally also, what has been the history, what has been the consequences, and arising out of that, Lok Satta has developed its stand on various issues. And if it's a new subject, the approach is do the research first, quickly get to the bottom of what is the issue, have pros and cons, discuss in the National Council, and develop our approach. So that's the way we would deal it.
Thank you. Would you like to add something? Or?
You know, because I happen to be a lawyer,
Sure.
and in judiciary, for example, I've been proposing for a long time, there is a petition pending for years, that just by allowing audio-visual recording of the proceedings in the courts, 60% cases will get over. 60%. And nobody, the petition is pending in the court for years, and dates after dates after dates, they're not even dismissing it. How much does it involve? Being from IIT, I offered the court that I can give you a very cheap solution for this. Very, economic solution for this. But they're not agreeing. Can you imagine you are there for hours? You argue there for hours. And what will the order say? Heard, dismissed. So there is no proof. What did you argue? What did you say? What was the judge's behavior? If there is a recording, all of these will become transparent. So you have the intention, you have the views, you have the policy, but who will execute it?
Understood.
And that is why I'm saying this is the need of the hour is that there should be a party, there should be the people, the politicians who really want to help the nation. Okay? There is no court reporter like US. There are a number of things to be learned from developed nations. In US, everything is very beautifully reported. The whole transcript is available. So anybody can tomorrow visit that transcript and see what went wrong where. In our nation, lower court, high court, Supreme Court, there is no court reporter. There is no record. I don't understand. This is high time. We must get together and demand from the government, demand from the politicians. Come out from your cells and give us justice. This is the time.
Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to have Ms. Singh speak because she's come late and not of her own accord. But I'm very excited to have her because in my personal opinion, she's the most qualified person to be on the stage. Because we all are, theory. She's won an election. She's done it. And, yeah, please applaud. It's worth applauding. It's not easy to win elections. So ma'am, we want to hear your story. Only thing is we have like 6 minutes for your story. But, wherever you want to start and wherever you want to end.
Thanks for the glorious introduction. So a quick, maybe a background. I had a very typical corporate career, typical corporate life till about 4 years ago when I left my job to be in the development sector. But the really great thing I think I did was when I contested the elections last year. So I contested the municipal corporation elections in Gurgaon and won them. My motive, thank you. Actually, just, it was one of the most natural decisions I've taken in my life. Though to everybody else it seemed like a very extraordinary step and a very brave step on my part, but it did come very naturally to me, and there were just two things that led me to take this step. One was the potholed roads of Gurgaon. So if you were in Gurgaon, 2 years ago, you'd know what I'm talking about. And the second was the realization that it is much more, it's much faster and much more impactful to change this, change the way things are by being in the system. So that was my thought process, and with that I went into the elections. How I won them, because typically people like us do not really do very well in election results. I think what the 2-3 key factors that helped were that now we are in a digital age. So it was, fairly simple for me to be able to reach out all those voters who were digitally available. So media like internet, like Facebook, like YouTube, mobile, I was able to use these medias to get in touch with people, in touch with voters, tell them about myself, tell them what I stood for, and they got a clarity into what to expect from me if I got elected. And the second thing that was important was that I think people are waiting for good candidates to come out and take charge. I got immense amount of encouragement from all quarters, lot of volunteers who worked on my campaign, and we had a successful result. I think another key thing that is important is when you stand in elections is that you, I will finish, is that you, give enough time to it. I had a campaign that ran for 6 months, and I cringe every time I see people standing, great people standing for elections, but doing it at the last moment, and then not being able to cover the voter base completely, make them comfortable about themselves. So these are the things that helped, and yeah, here I am.
Okay, you're not getting off that easy.
Mr. Mehta, just 1 second.
I just want to, you're not getting off that easy, I'm sorry. I need more. No.
Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
I remember, I don't know whether I remember or not, I was at her house with JP before, when she was preparing for the election. And what we all felt, as he said rightly, probably you didn't give much attention to that. The country is waiting for good candidates. It's high time. Country is waiting for good candidates. If good candidates do come in politics, my idea is, and my belief is, that our educated countrymen and even people who are not so literate, they do understand now the politics to a great extent, that only good guys can give us good governance. NISA is an example of that good candidates will win. You must appreciate this fact.
Thank you. So, ma'am, I have a lot of questions. Some I'm going to ask from here and some will, whenever time permits. But some of the key things, how many volunteers did you have? And I've worked on around 25 campaigns, from Lok Sabha to MLA to corporators. So what is it that you think that really worked that you could win? Was it your planning? Was it your volunteers? Was it the budget? What was it that you think worked for you that made you win?
See, I don't have a number on the number of volunteers I had, and it's difficult to put a number because, people helped me. A person from Hyderabad reached out to me, found me on Facebook, and managed my Facebook account for me. He even, improved my website. I have still not met him. A lady in Bangalore called Shantala, she found me on Facebook and connected to me. And she has a wonderful story herself. And she said, I want to come and work on your campaign because I want to also learn, how to, while I help you, I also want the experience of being part of a campaign. There were others who were writing, blogs for me. So and I didn't even meet them. So I haven't come face to face with them. And then, of course, you need a ground force. Definitely need a ground force. It's not like all digital works and you can sit at your home and reach out to everybody. So there were a lot of such youngsters, people who would come after office, young 20, mid-20s, people who came and campaigned. Every bit matters, in an election. Everybody contributes, and it's those numbers that add, and get you that 20% that you need to win actually any election. In our first past the post system, you actually just about need 20% of the votes cast to win an election. So in 2009 Lok Sabha elections, 1/3 of the seats were won by getting 20%, less than 20% of the votes.
Sure.
So it's the maths that you need to understand.
So can you, whatever you did, can you scale it up? So can you do it for an MLA election? MP, well, let's not go there, but.
Yeah, I haven't tried it, but I think it can be done. It is actually about scaling it up, right? At the end of the day, it's the number of voters that increases, and definitely it can be done. And I'll come back to Facebook. I have a Facebook account, and people on that Facebook account are from the smallest towns of our country. My own village, my cousins and their friends are on my Facebook account. So an MLA election, an MP election, you have a much mixed population sometimes. Sometimes you could have a completely urban voter base, but when you have that mixed population, you have to, you can still reach them digitally, at least the youngsters, and then, all the other methods also.
Sure, thank you so much. I have a lot of questions that I wanted to ask you, but I'm being pressed by the organizers that we are running out of time. So, because I want a lot of audiences to get the chance to participate. So I'm going to, ask the final question, and then we go to the audience. Well, it's a two-part question, actually. Seeing, in the long term, 5 years, 10 years down the line, what are the three main challenges that you see for clean politics? If I can start with Mr. Tambawala.
Sure. I see, and we see, three main challenges are, like she said, getting clean, competent, and credible candidates. That's one. Second is clean funding. Third is a united front for clean politics. That's the third one.
Mr. Kejriwal.
Actually, I completely agree with the three things that you suggested. But it appears that it's almost like a chicken and egg question. If you have clean candidates, how will they win? But Nisha ji has given a good formula. And let me also confess, it's been a long time that I've been dying to meet her. So this PANIIT has brought us together. After this session, I'd like to sit with her and also learn something about how she is. But I completely agree with the three challenges that he suggested.
See, what I think, the belief, which somehow was not there for, if I go a couple of years back. In fact, even now, a lot of people hesitate that, is it possible to win an election? Can you go to the parliament? What all it involves? Black money? How will you get the funding? But my experience in the recent years, which I have been getting in, the only thing we need is the confidence. If Aam Janata believes they will do, they have to do, this will happen.
Very well said.
This will happen. If all of you need, I have been asking people have been saying that, कैसे जीतोगे, कैसे क्या होगा, पॉलिटिक्स बहुत गंदी चीज़ है. मैंने कहा आप वोट देंगे? कहते हाँ हम देंगे. जिसको पूछते हैं वो कहते हैं सब वोट देंगे. जब सब वोट देंगे तो हम जीतेंगे कैसे नहीं? ऐसा कोई नहीं मिलता जो कहता है कि हम वोट नहीं देंगे.
I think the challenges have actually gone away. The whole Anna movement has really awakened us to the importance of taking part in politics. So people are just, I think, waiting out there for the clean, the competent, the committed people to take up public life. And I think they are waiting to embrace us. We have to figure out a way to send out a message to them. Elections need not be expensive. The money that is spent in elections is definitely what candidates like this will not spend on inducements and stuff like that. So, turning the art of elections into a science and getting your message across is all that is required. It's going to happen. It's happening. The time is just right.
Well, thank you so much. We are not in an ordinary room right now. We have some of the best and the brightest of our country. And if you had to tell them very briefly, okay, very briefly, if you had to tell them